Hey guys, and welcome back to another Free Plugin Friday, where we look at free plugins you can use in your productions. Now today we are looking at another plugin from Analog Obsession, and this is the Specomp. Now the Specomp is based off the SSL channel comp, I think, but heavily modified in order to kind of compress the entire spectrum, even out frequencies. That's kind of the idea I'm getting from the description, with a few cool features. So we're going to try it out on a few different sources, go through the controls and just see what it can do and if it's useful. So it has the most common normal controls you expect from a compressor. You got threshold, ratio, makeup, gain. So, you know, your three main controls that you'd have. You have release and attack, important controls to control those dynamics, and you have a knee control. Now the interesting thing about the knee control I've noticed is the compression automatically kind of follows the knee. If we go threshold all the way up, but if we bring the threshold down, it's just I don't know if it's reacting to the noise. It's just something I found interesting, but maybe that is accurate to what the compression's going. I just haven't seen that in other plugins where, you know, if you set a certain threshold, if you change the knee, the compression, yeah, it must just be how the knee works. It must take that knee there and then just go below it by that amount of dB. So you're actually getting the threshold to kind of drop by 20 dB at the same time, in a sense, depending on where it is in the knee. We won't go too much into what knees do, but basically a softer knee is just going to give a kind of softer attack to that when that compression comes in. And you also have this cool little mix control, which is great. I love having a mix control bypass, and you can use an external sidechain, which we won't be doing here, but it could be really cool for dance productions and various other things. So I'm going to put on the drum bus first, then we might do some individual drums, maybe just the kick drum, maybe a snare, bass, and then possibly some vocals. Now, this is a track I'm working on, isn't finished, isn't mixed. The vocals are pretty rough. They're going to be re-recorded, but hopefully you give us an idea of what Specomp can do. And I'm interested to see if something rough that isn't mixed, if Specomp works well to kind of even out problematic frequencies. So on the drum bus, let's just hear it straight away. I'm going to play this kind of loop, and just fiddle with the controls. So let's bring them all back. If you double click them, it brings them to their defaults. We'll bring them all back to defaults. Start dialing some things in. Now the only thing is there isn't any presets with a lot of Analog Obsession plugins. There's no presets, which is fine with me because you really have to set it for your sources. So let's just do bypass first. So there is compression and stuff on the drums. We've got some samples in here. We've got multiple drums. We've got reverb sends, all that kind of stuff. Some parallel processing. So it sounds fine as it is. We're just using the drum bus to really show what Specomp can do. So on, let's just dial in that threshold so we're starting to get something. Very snappy, sounds like SSL compression to me. Let's bring that makeup gain to make up for that. Listen to what it's doing to that snare. That snare is really like jumping out. Now it's pulling it back in and expanding it. Obviously this is a bit extreme and the attack and release is a bit extreme, but it's good just to see. I'm going to keep the attack and release there, and we'll just go through the ratio to see really that kind of scope of the ratio. It does have a 1-for-1 ratio, which is interesting. Obviously with that makeup gain, it's just going to make it louder. Let's just tweak through the ratio. I'm just going to adjust the makeup gain and threshold as we go through as well, just to keep it in a similar kind of compression. I like what it's doing to the tail there, that's cool. Really messing with the transient kind of tail relationship now. Bring that threshold up a little bit so we'll stick around like 8 dB compression. Wait for the loop to jump around. So this could be a cool sound if you dial it in. So let's try that mix control. Maybe a little bit more. Just to bring up some of that tail of that snare, just to kind of get it to sit a bit more. Usually I use like a 1176 on all buttons in mode or a SSLG bus compressor for this kind of task in parallel. Yeah, it does make that snare fit a little better in parallel. It's really cool. Okay, let's go back to a 1 to 4, bring that mix back up. And let's mess around with these attack and release. So let's make the let's start off with the attack. Let's go the shortest. So really just smash those transients. It's got a millisecond readout, so that's pretty useful. A lot of analog style plugins don't. Let's go to about 50. So you're keeping that attack for that snare. Let's bypass again. So that transient is still there with that attack setting, but you're bringing up that huge amount of tail. Really thickening it out, really smacking that snare up, which is nice. Let's go to a highest attack. Probably not for drums using this high of attack unless you're using it on drum bus like this in a kind of different kind of way. Yeah, this almost has like a sucking because the attack comes in after the transient. So let's go back to medium attack around here and mess with the release. Let's go down to the shortest. Okay, so you're getting some distortion there, but it sounds cool on drums actually. Bring it up, make it a lot smoother. We're going to just adjust the threshold so we're getting similar amounts of compression. Now we're really only affecting the tail. Because the whole body is now compressed with this kind of long release time. 2-second release time. So the compressor's barely going back to 0 before coming back up. Now let's bring it back down. I liked it around here. This is in the punchy territory. Okay, let's see the knee. Now the knee does increase the compression, so we're gonna change the threshold while we're at it. Way less snappy. Let's go really high knee. A lot smoother, which is generally what a knee is gonna do. This could be really cool in parallel though, because you make up for that smoothness with direct attack. Really just affecting the tail here. Maybe a shorter release. So what you're doing with a big knee like that, with that kind of attack and release, is you're kind of compressing everything, because the threshold is then dropped in, but what you're not doing is compressing at a high ratio down low. So nearly everything in the drums is compressed. There isn't, like, it's not just the transients, it's not just the section after the transients, like that body, which, you know, you get from a slightly longer attack where it skips a transient, but that body gets compressed, which is still pretty loud. It's kind of compressing everything a little bit, but not everything the same amount, which actually works really well for smoothing kind of harsh things. On the drum bus, probably not. So let's just move quickly over to like an individual source like the kick. I just want to hear how it sounds on the kick. So now I've got it on just the kick in. There's several kick channels here. There's several mics for this kick and a few samples, but we're just going to listen to it on the kick in. Now I had the FG Stress, which is a distressor style compressor on previously. I've turned that off, so now we just have the kick in. So let's have a listen. Okay, let's dial it in. Okay, of course, straight away, you've lost a lot there. The idea of a compressor on this kick is to kind of bring in a bit more body, but keep it cutting through. It's been the release down, actually. Let's letting more low end in now. A little bit of distortion is actually cool. It's making it way more upfront in your face. Now, this kick itself is pretty low down in the mix, so you might not hear a huge difference, but let's just put all the drums on and toggle between them. You might not be able to hear the difference again, like I said, because there's other samples and stuff filling in that kick. I like to mix my drums where you don't have just one single mic channel dominating. It's kind of a bit of the sum of its parts, but we'll see if it makes a difference. Yeah, it is helping it cut through. Let's just go back to here. Just a little bit more attack going on, a little bit more up front without it dominating or sounding thin. Cool. Now let's try it. We're going to try it on... Let's just try it on the snare top. So on the snare top on this track, you can see I used a FG401, which is meant to be kind of a bit like a DBX compressor, a little bit like an SSL channel comp as well. So we might be in the right ballpark. Let's... just solo that top up. And again, the top only makes up a little bit of the overall snare sound, but you kind of get the idea. I won't soften it too much with the knee. Again, really fast release. Just helps that body, just a bit more body. I mean, that's what compression does, but a lot of compressors don't necessarily work that well on a snare to do this. Okay, let's see if we can listen to it with all the drums together. Bypassed. Yeah, that's attacking a lot better. Very subtle because, you know, there's other snare bits going on. Bypass it again. See how there's not as much upfrontness? So far, liking it on drums. Doesn't necessarily replace my other plugins. I like what my other plugins are doing, but it definitely didn't take that long to dial in something that was favorable, was doing something I liked. So let's try on bass. So we've got this bass here. I've turned all the compressors off, though we do still have a lot of plugins going on. You might be able to see over here in the left. but I did have a 1176 style plugin at the front before the amp, and then an LA2A style plugin, so we're replacing 2 plugins. So we're going to use the knee a little bit here. I've already set up some settings, so let's have a listen. Let's start with bypass. This bass needs to be in your face, but also warm and full, because it fills out a lot of the low end. But yeah, aggressive and cutting. So it's got a bit of a challenge. So going for a lot of compression here. It's just evening out those notes a little bit. The kind of inconsistencies in my picking. I'm using a pick here. Could let more attack in. Make it a little snappier with release. Let's have a listen. Is that mix control? It kind of does what I want it to, calling it Specomp, really. I mean, it's not drastic. It's not like, oh my God, amazing like flavor. There was a lot more flavor going on with the other plugins I was using. But instead what it's doing, it's bringing the kind of high and low end of the bass, the kind of pick attack, the kind of string noise stuff that gives it clarity, and the actual low end and the mids and stuff. It's bringing them a little bit more cohesive. So each note has a similar kind of frequency profile. So it doesn't kind of cut out. So let's listen to it in the mix, actually. Let's listen to the whole thing in the mix. I just turn the bass up a little bit so you can hear it, just over exaggerate it. Let's bypass it. Subtle difference, but it does make a difference. Maybe we've been attacking a bit more lace. Okay, last I just wanted to try it on the vocals. Like I said, they're a bit scratch. They're definitely not loud enough there. Let's just turn the bass back down a little bit. But yeah, so I'm just going to change the loop so it's only the vocals. And we'll just loop this section. It's very simple vocals. But I generally need to compress my voice a lot because I'm not a very good singer. So let's start off with bypass. I've turned off my 1176 LA2A. You might understand by now, I love that combination. But so let's just solo the vocals.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Okay, let's turn it on.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Let's use a bit of a knee.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Let's bring a lot longer release.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
More natural kind of LA2A style release.
It's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Listen to that kind of whistle I have in because I've got this little gap between my teeth. I've got that little whistle. It seems to be solving that a little bit.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe.
Just doesn't poke through as much. Let's bring up the compression even more.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Okay, we're really compressing at these levels. Listen how inconsistent I am.
It's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Losing a little bit, so I might bring the knee down a bit.
It's unsafe.
Threshold up a bit.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. 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 It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Okay, let's put it in the mix and see what it does. So I'm just going to turn it up a little bit more and then bypass it in the here. It doesn't really cut through. And that whistling you can still hear, it's really annoying. They work on some de-essing for that. Let's try really fast attack, really fast release with this slow attack to get a bit more aggressiveness in it. Solo quickly.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. 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 It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
Just add the backing vocals.
It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe. It's unsafe, it's unsafe.
To the end section.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that has been Analog Obsessions Specomp or Specomp. No, Specomp. I like it. It originally, when I tried it on drums, I was a little bit, and then now I kind of understand what it's good at. It's that upfront thing. It's that bringing that kind of body and fullness in. It's not going to give you that real crunchy mid-range that like a Blue 1176 is, and it's not giving you that warmth, kind of pillowy softness that you get from an LA2A. Now, I don't really use a lot of SSL style compressors other than the FG401, and that has like a transformer in it and a few other things. So I don't know how it'd compare to like a normal SSL style channel compressor. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be heavily modified, but based on that kind of background of that design. It's meant to do a lot of different things, but I like it. Yeah, it's that upfront. It does remind me a little bit of using multiband without the multiband frequency sound, if that makes sense. It helps bring out something. It's cool. So definitely have a look at it. I definitely think I'm going to be trying it on snares when I'm struggling in dense bits, just to get that body of that snare through without turning it up that it's annoying. Just to give it that little bit of something, like a little bit of guts or something, without turning it up so much that it's just like pinging in your head, you know, because you don't want the snare to overrule everything. So yeah, definitely going to try it on a few different mixes. So thanks for watching again. Please like and subscribe. Check out the other free plugin Fridays. Check out some of my new videos I'm putting out that kind of look at a few different things in plugins, going down a little bit of a different route to try and get something else. And I will see you next time.